Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're looking at something that is fundamentally changing how developers approach one of the most notoriously complex tasks in programming. We're talking about browser-based multiplayer games. Specifically, we're checking out a platform called Homegames and looking at how it's leveraging AI to turn a massive development headache into this really seamless creative sandbox.
What if building a multiplayer web game took minutes instead of months? I mean, if you've ever actually tried to build a live multiplayer game for the web, you already know the massive friction involved. It's a total gauntlet. You're dealing with server configurations, dropped connections, state synchronization nightmares. It's honestly the kind of headache that keeps so many great game ideas from ever seeing the light of day. But what if we could just bypass all of that infrastructure overhead entirely?
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with multiplayer friction, then introduce the Homegames solution, dive into the AI-powered studio, take a look under the hood, and finally wrap up with the licensing rules.
Section 1. Multiplayer friction, the old way of web games.
Traditionally, the pipeline is an absolute nightmare. To get even a simple multiplayer game running, you're stuck manually managing WebSocket servers, writing incredibly complex logic for state synchronization, and configuring heavy build steps. It's exhausting. But the Homegames pipeline replaces all of that heavy infrastructure with a totally frictionless browser environment. The routing and the sync built right in. And the coding itself is heavily AI-assisted.
Section 2. The Homegames solution, friction to freedom. Homegames is essentially a free open-source platform for building, playing, and sharing simple JavaScript games directly in your browser. And what's really fascinating here is that this entire ecosystem actually started back in 2018. It was just a series of rendering tests by a solo developer. But over the last 8 years, it evolved into this complete publishing platform that abstracts away all that server management and seamlessly targets high-performance WebAssembly and WebGL2 right out of the box. You just write the JavaScript, and Homegames handles the rest of the heavy lifting.
And because it's so easy to use, the platform already has this really vibrant catalog of games. You can jump in right now without even making an account and play titles like Star Sweeper or Prism 3D, which actually pushes some pretty serious rendering boundaries, or NovaGuard for some co-op base defense. Oh, and playfully enough, if you look at the catalog, there's a game called Kaboom Valley, which the developer openly notes was actually named by the AI Claude, which is honestly the perfect segue into our next section.
Section 3. AI-powered studio, the developer's sandbox. Describe your game. The AI writes the first version of your game. If you're a developer or even just a hobbyist, you know that the absolute most terrifying part of a new project is the blank canvas, right? Just staring at it. Well, this magical tool completely removes that fear. You don't have to spend hours setting up boilerplate code anymore. You literally just describe what you want, and the AI generates your first draft. It takes a few minutes, you review the code, and boom, you've got a working prototype.
Now, what's really interesting about these starting options is the incredible variety you have at your fingertips. If you don't want to use a pure text prompt, you can use built-in templates as building blocks. You can start with that blank canvas, sure, or you can instantly drop in click interactions, keyboard movement, or a fully functioning multiplayer roster that actually tracks players and assigns them colors. You just select the template, and that foundational logic is instantly injected into your game.
But the AI isn't just there to help you start your game. Right inside the editor, there's a feature simply called Ask AI to edit your game. You can describe a change, say, make the player move twice as fast, or add a neon glow effect to the obstacles, and the AI will literally rewrite your index.js file on command, right there in the browser. You just review the result, save it as a version, and keep moving. It is an incredibly fluid integration of generative AI into a live coding environment.
Section 4. Under the hood, networking and game architecture. Let's move to and see how this builds. The publishing workflow here is just unbelievably frictionless. Step 1, you register a free account, and you don't even need to provide an email address. Step 2, open the Browser Studio. Step 3, write your JavaScript or just have the AI generated for you. Step 4, and honestly this is huge, you can instantly test your game with a shareable live preview link. You just fire that link over to a friend, and they can instantly join your multiplayer session to test the rules with you. No staging servers required at all. And finally, step 5, you publish it directly to the public catalog.
Now, to make all this multiplayer magic happen without massive lag, the platform relies on something called Squish.js. By definition, this is a lightweight library that handles state serialization and deserialization really efficiently. Basically, it squishes the game data down so that the payloads being sent between the server and the player's browsers stay incredibly small. This is exactly how the platform manages multiplayer synchronization and keeps latency super low, straight out of the box, without you having to write a single line of complex networking logic.
So, the crucial point is how it handles updates. Because you have a live multiplayer game, right? What happens when you need to fix a bug on the fly? Well, Homegames features seamless versioning. When you push a new update to the catalog, it doesn't break the game for active players who are currently in the middle of a session on the older version. Those legacy versions continue to serve existing players. Actually, what this means is you completely decouple your fast iteration cycles from the stability of the live game. It's just brilliantly designed.
Section 5. Licensing Rules, Open Source and GPL v3. Because it's open source, let's establish the transparent guardrails here.
The platform operates on a split licensing model, and it's super important to understand the difference. Squish.js, that core networking library we just talked about, is licensed under the permissive MIT license, very flexible. However, the Homegames platform itself, meaning the studio, the catalog, the networking layer, the whole website, is licensed under GPL v3. This is a strict copyleft license. What that means is if you fork the platform or modify its code for distribution, you are required to release your source code under GPL v3 as well. So you can absolutely build and host games on it, but modifying the platform itself triggers strict open source compliance requirements.
Now, while Homegames provides all the automatic hosting and routing for you, they also highly encourage self-hosting. The entire project was designed from the ground up to be self-hostable. If you want full control over your WebSocket routing, or maybe you need some custom server logic, or if you just want to ensure the long-term preservation of your games in case the main website ever goes down, you can run the entire infrastructure on your own hardware. It truly gives developers total ownership over their creations.
And I think this perfectly illustrates the power of what Homegames has built here. They've taken the incredibly complex world of multiplayer infrastructure, abstracted it entirely away into the browser, and then paired it with a cutting-edge AI assistant that literally writes code for you. It lowers the barrier to entry so significantly that the only real limitation left is just your imagination. So I'll leave you with this final thought. With all of that infrastructure friction completely gone, what kind of game will you ask the AI to build first? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and happy building.